Chosen ones, this is not a random upload. This is a command released from heaven. Not inspiration, not encouragement, not something you play in the background while doing something else. This is instruction, and it carries urgency because timing is involved. God is not speaking in metaphors right now. He is being precise. When he says tomorrow, he is not pointing to some vague future or distant season. He is marking a moment. He is drawing a line between what has been and what is about to begin. If you are hearing this now, understand this clearly. You did not find this message by accident. Heaven scheduled this hour long before you clicked play. There are moments God allows us to stumble into content, and there are moments he deliberately interrupts our routine. This is the second kind, a divine interruption, a summons. God has stepped into your timeline because something is ready to move, and your awareness matters more than your comfort. Tomorrow is not symbolic. It is not poetic language meant to stir emotion. It is a signal, a window, a shift in motion. You have been asking God for change, clarity, release, breakthrough, for the next door to open. And now he is responding not with explanation, but with command. Rise, prepare, move. Not next month, not when everything feels safe. Tomorrow. Timing has accelerated, not because God is rushed, but because alignment has been reached. You have probably felt it already. Restless nights where sleep comes, but rest does not. An inner urgency that doesn't feel like anxiety, but like pressure with purpose. A quiet but persistent sense that your current life, your current routines, your current environment feel too small for what is stirring inside you. Things that once satisfied you no longer do. Conversations feel shallow. Old goals feel limited. You're not depressed. You're outgrowing something. Your spirit is reacting to movement before your mind has language for it. That is what happens when heaven releases a word. The unseen moves first. Your spirit senses it before circumstances catch up. And this is why faith is required now. Faith prepares before evidence appears. Faith moves before confirmation arrives. Faith packs before the door fully opens. Many people miss divine moments not because God didn't speak, but because they waited for proof before obedience. But God's order has always been the same. Prepare first, then receive. When God says, pack everything, he is not primarily talking about physical bags or locations, although for some that may come later. He is talking about readiness, mindset, spirit, obedience. He is calling you to gather yourself, to put things in order, to release distractions, to loosen your grip on what belongs to the previous season, to stop negotiating with fear and start responding with trust. Packing means deciding what comes with you and what does not. It means choosing alignment over attachment. This command is not meant to scare you. It is meant to position you. God does not issue sudden instructions without preparation behind the scenes. What feels fast to you has been forming slowly in the unseen. The prayers you whispered when no one heard. The endurance you carried in silence. The lessons learned in delay. None of that was wasted. It was all part of the preparation that made tomorrow possible. Heaven is not chaotic. God is not careless. When he moves suddenly, it is because the groundwork is complete. When he accelerates, it is because the vessel is ready. And if he is calling you to prepare now, it is because arrival is closer than you think. Not someday, not eventually. Now it springs forth. So do not treat this moment lightly. Do not scroll past it. Do not file it away as just another emotional message. This is a directive, a call to attention, a reminder that faith is not passive waiting, but active readiness. Something has shifted, movement has begun, and tomorrow carries weight. Now listen closely, because the next truth matters. God often acts suddenly, but he never acts carelessly. And understanding that difference will keep you steady as this move unfolds. When God says tomorrow, many people panic because they confuse sudden with reckless. But heaven never moves in chaos. Acceleration does not mean randomness. Sudden does not mean unprepared. God only increases speed when the vessel has already been formed. What feels fast to you is usually the visible phase of a process that has been quietly unfolding for a long time. This is why you need to stay calm, not frantic. God is not throwing you into something unfinished. He is unveiling what has already been shaped. The suddenness is not because the plan is new. It is because the preparation is complete. What you are stepping into did not start today. It started in seasons where you thought nothing was happening, in delays that frustrated you, in silence that forced you to grow without applause. Heaven does not rush formation, but when formation is finished, movement can happen quickly. Look closely at the signs around you. They are subtle, but they are consistent. Relationships are shifting without drama. People you once felt bound to are slowly moving out of alignment with you, not through conflict, but through distance. Conversations that used to feel natural now feel forced. That is not loss, that is sorting. Old cycles you tried to break for years are starting to crack on their own. Habits that once controlled you no longer have the same grip. Temptations feel weaker. Patterns are loosening. That is evidence of internal change catching up to external reality. And then there are the doors. Doors that used to feel immovable. Applications, conversations, opportunities, permissions that once met resistance are suddenly responding. Not fully open yet, but no longer sealed. Hinges are loosening. Pressure is shifting. You didn't force it. You didn't manipulate it. It changed because the timing changed. That is not coincidence. That is alignment. This is why God's instruction is not to analyze everything, but to trust Him. The Word says to trust in the Lord with all your heart and not lean on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge Him, and He will direct your paths. Notice what it does not say. It does not say, figure it all out first. It says trust, then move. Direction follows surrender, not control. You may be tempted to overthink this moment, to replay every detail, to ask 100 what-if questions. But clarity does not come from anxiety. It comes from obedience. God is not asking you to understand the whole map. He is asking you to take the next step. When He accelerates, He does not expect you to run ahead. He expects you to walk in step with Him. Another truth you need to hear clearly is this. What is happening now is not fragile. You are not about to break something by moving. God finishes what He starts. He does not abandon half-built work. The same God who carried you through confusion is the God who is completing what He began in you. If He is calling you forward now, it is because the foundation can hold the weight of what is coming. And here is where many people get it wrong. They think effort is the key. They believe they must strive harder, push more, do more to deserve what is unfolding. But effort is not the final key. Obedience is. You are not being promoted because you exhausted yourself. You are being positioned because you listened, because you stayed when it was hard, because you didn't quit when the season felt unfair, because you learned to obey even when progress was invisible. This move is strategic, not emotional. It is calculated by heaven, not driven by impulse. God does not relocate people without first relocating their hearts. He does not change environments until identity is stable. That is why you are not entering this next phase confused, even if you are unsure. There is a quiet steadiness underneath the urgency, a deep knowing beneath the questions. That is your spirit recognizing alignment. So do not fear the speed. Do not resist the shift. And do not delay because of comfort. Sudden does not mean unsafe. Sudden means ready. What God is doing now is the natural result of seeds planted long ago. And the only thing that can slow it down is hesitation disguised as wisdom. Which brings us to the next instruction. Because if this move is strategic, then preparation matters. And the question now is not whether God is moving, but what He is asking you to pack and what He is asking you to leave behind. When God says pack everything, He is not telling you to carry everything you've ever been through. Packing is not about volume. It's about weight. And not everything that was part of your past is permitted to cross into your future. Some things were real, painful, formative, but they are not transferable. If you try to bring them, they will slow you down, exhaust you, and eventually sabotage what God is building next. This is where many people miss their moment. They assume obedience means dragging the entire past into the promise. But heaven's instruction is clear. You cannot enter a new dimension while clinging to old burdens. Isaiah reminds us, "Do not dwell on the former things. Do not consider the things of old. See, I am doing a new thing." God is not denying your history. He is closing its chapter. The past had a role. It taught you. It refined you. It revealed God's faithfulness. But it does not get to lead you anymore. So let's be honest about what cannot come with you. Old wounds that you keep reopening to explain who you are. Bitterness you justified because of what they did. Shame you carry quietly even though God already forgave you. An identity shaped by survival instead of sonship. Toxic cycles you learned to live with because they felt familiar. These things once served as coping mechanisms, but they are not companions for where you are going. Carrying unresolved pain into a new season does not protect you, it poisons you. Dragging bitterness forward does not keep you wise, it keeps you guarded. Holding on to shame does not make you humble, it keeps you small. And God is not moving you so you can remain small. He is moving you because your capacity has expanded. Hear this clearly. God is not asking you to pretend the pain wasn't real. He is asking you to stop letting it define you. What happened mattered, but it no longer has authority. You don't need to keep rehearsing the injury to prove it existed. You don't need to keep naming the trauma to honor the lesson. The lesson has already been learned. Now it must be applied, not relived. This is why traveling light is essential. Not because the pain wasn't heavy, but because purpose is heavier. You cannot carry both without collapsing. If you insist on bringing yesterday's weight into tomorrow's calling, you will arrive exhausted instead of empowered. God wants you strong, not merely present. Now let's talk about what must come with you. Faith, not the fragile kind, but the kind that survived unanswered prayers and still trusted God's character. Lessons earned through endurance, not shortcuts. Wisdom formed in quiet obedience when no one was watching. Praise that was refined in seasons where praise cost you something. And most importantly, identity that has been forged, not borrowed. You are not packing the old version of yourself. You are packing the version shaped by fire. The one who learned how to stand when things fell apart. The one who learned how to obey without applause. The one who discovered that God is faithful even when the outcome was delayed. That identity is not fragile. It is tempered. It is ready. Bring the endurance that taught you patience. Bring the discernment that taught you when to speak and when to stay silent. Bring the humility that kept your heart soft. Bring the courage that rose when fear told you to quit. Bring the gratitude that remembers where God brought you from without chaining you to it. But leave behind the labels that were assigned in broken seasons. You are not the one who always struggles. You are not the one who almost makes it. You are not the overlooked one. Those names belong to a chapter that is closed. God is renaming you through movement, not explanation. And this is where the deepest truth settles in. You don't travel light because the pain wasn't real. You travel light because the calling is heavier than the pain ever was. God is trusting you with more, and more requires space. Space in your mind, space in your heart, space in your spirit. You cannot receive what heaven is releasing if your hands are still full of what God asked you to release. Packing your soul is an act of trust. Trust that God will provide what you need when you need it. Trust that you don't have to hoard old defenses to survive the future. Trust that what He is leading you into is safer than what you are leaving behind. This is not loss. This is alignment. And once you understand this, everything shifts. Because you realize you are not just leaving something. You are being transferred. This is not a casual departure. This is a divine relocation. You are not just going somewhere new. You are being repositioned into a different environment, a different atmosphere, a different level of responsibility and favor. And that is where we are headed next. Because this move is not about distance. It is about dimension. You are not just walking forward. You are being relocated by God Himself. What is happening right now is not a small upgrade. This is not God adjusting a few details in your current life. This is relocation. A transfer of timeline, environment, and authority. And that is why everything familiar has started to feel tight. Not wrong in a dramatic way, just constricting. Conversations that once entertained you now feel empty. Places that once felt safe now feel limiting. Patterns you tolerated for years suddenly exhaust you. That is not arrogance. That is growth. That is evidence that your spirit has expanded beyond the container it used to live in. Survival spaces always feel crowded once inheritance is near. When God begins relocating someone, the old environment becomes uncomfortable by design. If it still felt good, you would stay. So God allows the fit to shrink. Not to punish you, but to move you. The discomfort is directional. This is why your tolerance has dropped. You no longer have the emotional bandwidth to explain yourself repeatedly. You no longer have patience for cycles that never produce fruit. You no longer feel energized by being around people who require you to stay small so they can stay comfortable. That shift is not pride. Pride inflates self. Growth clarifies identity, and clarity always demands movement. Scripture says, "Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life." Notice the direction. You are not chasing goodness anymore. It follows you. That is inheritance language. Survival chases relief. Inheritance attracts provision. Survival fights to be seen. Inheritance is positioned to be honored. Survival asks, will this work? Inheritance knows, this is mine. This relocation is also why your inner world feels different. You are not becoming reckless, you are becoming resolved. You are not cold, you are becoming selective. You are not disconnected, you are being reassigned. God is separating you from environments that trained you to live in reaction and moving you into realms where you can live in authority. The Word says, if anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. The old has passed away. Passed away does not mean forgotten. It means no longer governing. Your old timeline taught you how to endure. Your new timeline will teach you how to steward. That is a very different skill. Endurance builds strength. Stewardship requires peace. This is also why peace has become non-negotiable. You are no longer willing to pay for access with anxiety. You are no longer willing to trade clarity for belonging. God is placing you into a realm where favor is normal, not earned through exhaustion. Where authority flows from alignment, not volume. Where doors open because of assignment, not because you begged long enough. Deuteronomy declares, the Lord will make you the head and not the tail. That does not mean superiority over people. It means alignment ahead of systems. It means you no longer live at the mercy of environments, you help shape them. But to do that, God has to move you out of spaces that trained you to survive instead of lead. And here is the truth that seals this moment. When God moves you, return is no longer an option. Not because you are banned, but because you will no longer fit. The door doesn't close with anger. It closes with maturity. One day you will look back and realize you could not go back even if you wanted to. Your spirit would not allow it. This relocation is irreversible because it is identity-based, not circumstantial. You are not just changing locations. You are changing operating systems. You are being placed into inheritance, where peace guards you, favor accompanies you, and authority rests on you quietly. You are not leaving because something went wrong. You are leaving because something went right. And now, there is only one thing left. How will you respond? Now let this settle, because everything you've heard leads to this moment. Tomorrow is real. Not symbolic. Not poetic. It is a divinely marked point of movement where obedience meets opportunity. God does not speak in urgency without intention. When he says, tomorrow, he is not trying to rush you. He is revealing that the door is already unlocked. Preparation unlocks acceleration, and acceleration only comes where alignment already exists. Here are the 3 truths you must carry forward. First, tomorrow is real. Heaven does not tease with timing. If God names movement, it means conditions are ready. Second, preparation unlocks acceleration. What looks sudden to others is simply the reward of hidden readiness. You were being formed while nothing seemed to change. Third, obedience protects destiny. Not effort, not striving, obedience. God never says, "Let's go," unless He has already gone before you. He clears the path, removes the trap, and orders the steps before He calls you to move. This is why fear does not get the final word. Fear asks for guarantees. Faith responds to instruction. You do not need to see the whole map to take the next step. You only need to trust the voice that called you. Tomorrow is not asking you to be perfect. It is asking you to be willing. Willing to release what no longer belongs. Willing to move without applause. Willing to say yes before comfort catches up. And hear this clearly, this moment is not isolating you, it is aligning you. You are not moving alone. You are moving as part of a remnant, learning to respond quickly when God speaks. That's why community matters here. Quiet agreement creates powerful momentum. If your spirit is in agreement, let it be simple. A like is agreement. A subscribe is staying connected to the flow of what God is doing here. If you want to mark your response, comment 99, not as superstition, but as a declaration. I'm moving when God says move. And for those who give, know this. Giving is partnership, not pressure. It's alignment with purpose, not obligation. Now receive this final word. Tomorrow is not a threat. It is not pressure. It is not fear disguised as faith. Tomorrow is proof. Proof that heaven trusts you with movement. Proof that preparation was not wasted. Proof that destiny is no longer waiting on someday. Tomorrow is your appointment. Move in peace. Move in obedience. Heaven is already ahead of you.